Now for something completely different.
Smoke medical weed every day.
The following thoughts on Hoppe Hour represent Ryan Hoppe and Facet. Listener discretion is advised.
Live from Tampa Bay, you are tuned in to Hoppe Hour.
He's the voice of a generation that got screwed by the baby boomers. Welcome back to Hoppe Hour.
Hoppe Hour. Hoppe Hour. Hoppe Hour starts in 4, 3, 2, Hoppe. Hoppe, Hoppe. This is Hoppe Hour with Hoppe.
Oh my God, let's get right into it. This interview is 11 years in the making. From Country Top 40, the one and only Fitz is on Hoppe Hour. What's up, bro?
Hoppe, 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 hop. Hoppe, 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 hoppity, hoppy, hop.
Dude.
Hoppe, 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 hop.
Fitz. What up?
I am honored. I feel privileged.
Yeah, you made it. You made it.
This program.
You made it in life, Fitz. You've had a nationally syndicated morning show. Now you're kicking ass with Country Top 40 with your own name on the show. But you can finally be elected into the Radio Hall of Fame because you're on Hoppe Hour.
Dude, you know what? And I have a feeling that this is going to be the interview that's going to maybe help me get to that, receive that accolade one day. I really appreciate it. And hey, and I want you to know how important you are to me. And here's why. Because right now I am in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm on the 16th floor looking down on Lower Broadway in the Bridgestone Arena.
Nice.
I'm at Country Radio Seminar in Nashville. And dude, because I knew I had an interview with you, I just left a room with some pretty cool people in it. And guess what?
Oh my God, what?
None of them are as cool as you.
Aw, we have like a bromance from like 2,000 miles away, man. Like, I've always, like, whenever I see you at the boot camp, I can just talk to you for like 6 hours. I'll see you every 6 years. But it's one of those things where it's just like, I think it's because of 2014. I was underage drinking at the boot camp, and me and you got so drunk that one night. I was 20.
Well, you know what? That I'm glad I did not buy you a beverage at all.
Why do you think I never left the bar at the hotel? Why do you think I never went bar hopping throughout the city?
Okay. But here's another. Listen, you and I also connected.
Yeah.
Because we are brothers in the fact that we're basically the same height, although I am an inch taller than you.
Are you really?
I think I am. Although, you know what? You always tell me that you're taller than me, but I think that's what's great about it is we just, you know, we love the fact that we are height brothers. We embrace it.
Yes, we do.
And it's joy.
Well, like Kevin Durant is like 7'1", but it says Kevin Durant is 6'11". I'm kind of the same way where I'm pretty much 6'8" and a half. But for like the dating apps, I just put 6'9" just because of the number. Like I can't put 6'8".
Dude, that is so interesting you said that because I was, you know, I'm married now, but I would be the opposite. I would, you know, I'm also like really 6'8".
Yeah.
But I've always put 6'7" to make it look like less freak mode. You know, like I'm less of a freak. 6'7", 6'8", right? Freak. 6'7", not freak.
Nah, you gotta go all freak, man. If you're that tall, how often are you asked about your height? How often does a person go up to Cory Fitz and be like, how tall are you? For me, it's not been as often, but I would say maybe 30, 40 times a year.
Oh, yeah. No question about it. And do you ever get asked when you had your biggest growth spurt?
Oh, yeah.
For me, I grew 4.5 inches between my junior and senior year of high school. And listen to me. That is not an exaggeration. I grew 4.5 inches in basically a summer. And I came back my senior year in high school and no one recognized me. They were like, "Oh my God, did you guys see Fitz? Did you see what happened to Fitz over the summer?" And my basketball coach was like freaking out, saying hallelujah.
Yeah.
Because, I got so tall. But what about you? When did you have your biggest growth spurt?
I had back surgery 15 years ago, and I grew an inch and a half from it. But here's what I describe it as. I don't know if there was like a moment for sure, but I was 3'4" at age 3. Think about that.
Okay, so you had early growth. They knew you were going to be like tall as a baby, right?
And my grandma used to say that what the height you are at age 3 is what you're going to be for the rest of your life. So 3'4", 6'8". She was kind of right. She always said that.
Or you like have to double it. You have to double it or
something
like that.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Well, you know what? Hey, and let me tell you something else.
What?
Your grandmother,
yes,
was an absolutely spectacular woman.
She was. She was a bit crazy. She was from North Carolina, and she went up to my principal when I was in 5th grade. Oops. 1 second here. I'm just going to keep this in here because it's fun. I had a frozen pizza that I made in the oven, and I had the alarm, and I forgot to turn it off. The frozen pizza's out, but the music is on. Anyway, so my
I'm glad that you cared during this interview to cook a frozen pizza.
No, that.
But listen, no, hang on. I got to find out. I got to find out about your grandmother. So your grandmother went to your school and said something to the principal.
She says, "I'm a Southern Belle. Ding dong."
I love it. Well, are you ready for this?
What?
You want to hear? I got a better one.
Yeah.
Actually, it's not better because I do, and I mean that with sincerity. I think your grandmother is an absolutely spectacular woman.
Yeah.
But here's what I want to say though.
What?
So, when I was in the 7th grade, dude, I was the new kid in my little small town. I was being bullied. These 2 guys were telling me they were going to kick my butt after school. And so, dude, I did not go to school for 2 weeks. I was that scared. I was crying every day. And my dad at that time was working out of town. When my dad got home after those 2 weeks, he said, "You're going to school today." And I was crying, basically in my underwear. And I'm like, "No, I'm not going. I'm scared."
Been there.
Dude, my dad basically drugged me out of the house. We went into the school. I had like a pair of jeans and like what I slept in, a t-shirt. My dad walks in and the school office was just full of people and I'm crying. And he said, "I want to talk to the principal." We go into Mr. McMurray's office. And the first thing my dad says to my principal is, "I want to know what the hell you're going to do to make sure that my son is not scared to come to this school. What are you going to do about it?" And dude, from that day, I was never bullied again. And I think about the moment my dad walking into my school and going up to my principal and saying that. But now, man, I look back on that and I admire my dad so much for doing that. But just the fact that he sat in front of the principal and said, "I want to know what you're going to do to make sure that my son is not scared to come to school anymore." And you know what? My dad handled it. And so throughout my life, man, my dad, I just got so much respect for him because I always felt like, man, my dad's going to handle this. My dad can handle anything. And, when you mentioned the principal thing, thank you for letting me share that story because it was just a big, big moment for me in my life. Yeah.
Didn't you grow up in Texas?
I did.
What's that like?
Itty bitty town called Bowie. Dude, you know what? It was the best. You know how I describe my hometown? If you've seen the movie, you might be a little young for this, but maybe you've seen it. The movie with James Vanderbeek called Friday Night Lights.
I've seen it, yeah.
No, I'm sorry. Not Friday Night Lights. Varsity Blues is what I'm talking about.
Oh, I kind of know about that.
The movie Varsity Blues, the whipped cream bikini. Does that ring a bell to you?
I know what the movie is. I just haven't seen it.
Okay. Varsity Blues is about, small town Texas, about an itty bitty town. And if you want to know what my childhood was like, watch the movie Varsity Blues with James Vanderbeek, because, dude, we got our entertainment from driving up and down. We called it the drag, where we would circle around the Sonic, pull back out on the drag, go down, make a circle around Walmart, come back, circle around the Sonic again. We'd park at the Sonic, stay there for a couple hours, and do it all night long. And then we'd go spotlighting for animals. And we would go to the little Allsup's convenience store. And I would buy hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of plastic forks. And on a Friday night, we called it forking. I'd say, hey, y'all want to go forking? And we would go forking yards. We'd put hundreds and hundreds and thousands of plastic forks in someone's yard that we were wanting to mess with, and that is just small town life, man. We had pasture parties. We go to my uncle's ranch, and we'd be able to, have a little fire, have a little pasture party, and we could see any vehicles or law enforcement that were, coming over the hill. We could see them from 2 miles away, right? So we were able just to chill outside, crank up the music, man, turn on some headlights, and just chill under the stars. And we lived for Friday nights. We lived for, our football games. We lived for our pep rallies.
Yes,
for
sir.
Our football games. Yeah. I mean, it was just, I thank God for our little small town upbringing. Matter of fact, I tried to get back to that after, doing radio in different cities and stuff. I decided when the pandemic hit, and when I became host of the Country Top 40, I said, you know what? I'm going back to Texas. I'm going back home. I'm going to be near my mom and dad. And that's what I did. And I noticed every time over the years in radio, when I would, go back home to visit my mom and dad, every single time they would look a little older.
Oh, I know
every
that
time
feeling.
I came home.
Yeah.
You know that feeling, don't you?
Yeah.
And it just kills me. It still, even now I'm right down the road from them. I'm 30 minutes away from my mom and dad, and I go see them a couple times a week. And it's like, man, it's like every time they get a little bit older. And so that's what I did, man. I went back to Texas.
When did you go back? So you went back during COVID. Were you living in Washington prior to that? I haven't talked to you in a few years, so I
know, dude.
Haven't been up to date with where you have lived.
And you know what? Shame on you for that. Shame on you for not talking to me.
I don't.
Shame on you.
I don't talk to anybody. I don't talk to anybody.
Huh?
I don't talk to anybody.
You don't?
Kinda. I mean, I'll talk to some people here and there, but no, not really.
Man, you know what? Well, you mentioned earlier that you and I, like, even though, we would have a period where we haven't seen each other in a couple of years, it's like we freaking just hit it off like we just saw each other.
I know. It's awesome.
Yeah, so that's why you need to call me, I'm your boy, dude. Give me a shot whenever you want. I think, and by the way, I think I've noticed that over the years that, it is so important to stay in contact and stay engaged with with your community, the people you work with. I mean, you ever notice in life people you grew up with, whether, who were once your best friends, people that you thought your relationship, man, you guys are going to be pals forever.
Yeah.
Like even your best friends in your early life, some have gone away. And I realize you got to hold on to your community, the people you work with and chat with and share interests with. It's so important to keep those relationships going.
Well, it's weird. There's a lot of people. So, I wasn't popular in high school, but I had friends. I was the type of dude that would sneak into the popular parties. I never got the invite.
Hey, wait.
Go on.
Let me pause you right there.
Go on.
I don't see that. I don't see how you weren't freaking popular in high school.
Radio molded me.
For a fact.
Yeah, go on.
No, I'm just saying. I know for a fact that shit. If I was in high school, you and I would definitely hang out.
Radio molded me because it taught me how to talk and that. But I wasn't. I wasn't good at sports, and it was a very sports heavy school, even though it sucked. But the other thing was I had a very complex household because we lived in a very middle class house, just one floor, 3 bedrooms, a bathroom, a living room, a kitchen. That's it. But I was surrounded
Did you have
by
any brothers and sisters?
No, it was just me. But I was surrounded by mansions later on past the 90s. In the 90s, they tore down all the houses. Like my house that my mom lives in, she's been in there since 92, and the house was built in the 50s. And when I go to the neighborhood, there's all these mansions, and then there's our house, 1252, just hanging on. It's weird. I go inside. I go in there.
Right.
It is bizarre. Like she hasn't really touched my bedroom, so I have like a Obama poster on the wall. I have a Scarface poster. All the books I never read are on my bed. It's weird, man.
So you mentioned though, so you said, you weren't good at sports, and I assume with your height that people probably wanted you to play sports, and they're probably like, man, you got to play basketball. And so let me ask you this.
Go on.
It seems to me that you had interest in other things. Like you wanted to entertain. You didn't necessarily want to play sports, did you?
I wanted to play, but here's the problem. If I could relive my childhood again, I would ask my mom to give me a personal trainer because I've gotten more coordinated over the years. But the problem is I just expected to just try out for the basketball team, and then the coach would teach me basketball. But I had to know the game beforehand, and I didn't really know how to play. Like I was not good at all. But I think if I would have gotten a trainer early on, here's the most 90s thing ever. My mom, for some reason, God bless her heart, she doesn't think at age, and she's listening to this. Hi, Mom. At age 6.
What's up, Mama?
At age 6, she has me go into a ballet class and not a basketball trainer to get me ready for sports for some reason. Because she thought the dancing and that would get me ready. And there's like a picture of me and like 25 girls, and it's the funniest thing ever. It's me at age 6, and I did ballet. And they must have just thought I was gonna like men for my life. They must have looked at me and been like, oh yeah, which is fine now, but I'm just saying, gotta think about that. It's funny.
No,
I don't know.
But I will say this.
What?
Your mom, dude, had the absolute right idea. And what I mean is, a professional football player and former Dallas Cowboy. What's up, Cowboys? Herschel Walker in his off season would take ballet classes and jazz classes. I kid you not, for the coordination.
Oh, wow.
And as I think about my regrets in life, dude, what I know now, and especially as, my gosh, you see the success of TikTok, and what I know now is that women love male dancers. Women love a dude who knows how to dance. And one of my biggest regrets is that I did not try to take the time to learn how to freaking dance. Like my little brother, dude, I'm sure you've heard of Six Flags and the theme parks.
There's one in,
my little brother.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. My little brother was like a star performer, dancer for Six Flags. I'm not kidding you. He's unbelievable.
Right. That song, remember? Yeah.
Wait, what song?
There's the song that they had in the ads, and they would air it on the radio and TV for Six Flags in Illinois, and it was that dance song from the 90s, and it'd be that old man going, dun 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 dun.
Oh my God.
Remember that?
You're talking about the old man Six Flags commercial that like freaks people out.
Yes, greatest commercial.
Dude, I know exactly the commercial you're talking about. So anyway, my little brother was just an unbelievable dancer, and so that's one of my biggest regrets. Instead, I would watch my mom, who was a performer and theater arts teacher and former Miss Texas pageant lady. I would watch my mom for years give voice lessons. So after school, I'd come home about 4:30 in the afternoon. My mom would start, her first voice lesson. And I'd sit in there after about, 4 or 5, people would come in, and I'd just watch my mom, perform and teach. And, from that, I watched my mom, teach theater. And then, I asked her if I could, get on the stage. And then from there, God, it just began, loving performing. I would spend my days in the summer consisted of me calling radio stations around North Texas as a kid and just prank calling them and giving them bits. I mean, I was given the DJs bits as a kid because I loved to hear myself on the air. I knew that when I called them, I knew that about 10 minutes that they were going to play my call back and I was going to hear myself. You know what I mean? And it was just that love, man, of watching, my mom over the years perform and sing and act. And then that combined with the love of prank calling as a kid, and then, that led into me, doing my school announcements every single morning. I basically started doing my own morning show, when I was a junior and senior in high school. And I always tell people, I'm addicted to performing. I'm addicted to it and telling stories.
See, I wanted to do radio so badly because I actually didn't have TV during 9/11 because we had a very religious household and my mom didn't want me watching TV. So I actually didn't know what 9/11 really looked like until YouTube came out, which is weird. So growing up,
so they sheltered you from it.
Oh yeah, it was weird seeing pictures and not knowing what it looked like. It's very weird to think about. So for me, I would listen to the radio in my room, and that's what got me into it. But the thing that was different between me and you is that I would get nervous. I would call shows sometimes. There was like a sports radio show that had this bit called "Who You Crappin'?" And Mike Ditka said to the guy like 30 years ago, "Who you crappin'?" So they would have a segment every Thursday where they would have people call in and complain about Chicago sports. And then at the end, they would play the drop, "Who you crappin'?" And I tried to call one time. Yeah, it was great. I tried to call one time to rant about something about Bountygate with the Saints or whatever. And I had it all written down and it was all ready. And the screener goes to me. This is like 2011. And I couldn't get a word out. And he goes, "Sorry, bud, next time." And I remember I was like, damn it. When am I going to be able to do this? Which now makes me appreciate the fact that I'm able to do it because I was so nervous, bro. It took me probably until moving out of the house and seeing the real world is probably what helped me get good at radio. Because when you're living at home doing radio, you're being protected by your mom. But when you're out in the world dealing with when you're living on your own, dealing with sociopaths in this business, it makes you good because you have this survival mode in you.
But see, my poor parents.
Yeah.
I would just lock my door and do, the things, and the phone calls, and just the man that I was creating, from that bedroom. I mean, but if it wasn't for all that, I mean, I could tell you, I mean, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. I mean, it took all those things, the prank calls, the calling the DJs, and then discovering, listening to Bob Kingsley's Country Top 40 Countdown on the weekend. And then during the week, when I discovered my love for morning radio, is the day I discovered Kid Craddock.
Yes, sir.
And I always tell people, growing up in Texas, it's interesting, I listened to Kid Craddock, during the week, and Bob Kingsley on the weekend. And that's how it is in Texas. I mean, one second you're listening to George Strait, and then the next second you're listening to Jay-Z. And I'm not kidding you. I mean, that's how Texas is. You're listening to Jay-Z one second, the next second, man, you got it on George. And that's how it was for radio too. Kid Craddock during the week, and on the weekend, man, it's Bob Kingsley and the Country Top 40 Countdown. And so and then, and here's the crazy thing.
Yeah.
My two idols that I grew up listening to, I got to personally, compete against later in my life.
Yeah, it's definitely crazy to think about that. Like, it's weird when you either meet your heroes or you go up against them, because I've had many moments like that. And there's almost this, and maybe it's just me, Fitz, there's almost this like empty feeling afterwards where you think it's going to complete your happiness, at least for me. For example, I grew up listening to Sirius XM and Opie and Anthony. So then when I got invited to sit in on a show on Opie Radio 8 years ago, I got to meet Opie. I met Baba Booey, and I was at Sirius XM. And I remember flying back to Tampa, and I did it. You know what I mean? There's a weird moment where when you do it, it's like, wow, I did it. Does that make any sense, Fitz?
Times, they say to you, hey, don't meet your heroes. But there are times when you meet them where you're like, my God, it was everything I expected and more. Hey, and by the way, regarding Opie and Anthony, my God, Wild Wednesdays, right? Wild
Wednesdays. Whip 'em out Wednesdays.
But what a talented freaking crew when they were, you know what I mean, just really getting along and their chemistry.
Oh yeah.
And what I loved about Opie is that Opie had no problem. He was so good in the fact that when Anthony would go on a brilliant role, right? And just start, maybe Anthony would just break out into an impromptu impersonation. And dude, Opie would sit back and just let Anthony be the star. You know what I mean? And by the way, that's not easy to do as a host. I mean, a good host recognizes when they have a star. And when you have one of those, you let them be a star. And I was wondering if you ever recognized that with Opie and Anthony. And by the way, I mean, it was just such I would try to tune in and occasionally when I could, because, me, I'm just a radio fan.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was just such a chill, authentic, like you're eavesdropping on a conversation sort of a show. They
are the main reason I'm in radio. I listened to them when they replaced Howard in 2006. I didn't get to hear them like in the 90s because I was too young, but I listened to all of it on YouTube. And the thing about Opie that I'm a defender of him because him and Anthony had their breakup, and Opie doesn't get along with Jim Norton and some of the comedians. But that's just egos, and people don't realize that you're not always friends with the people you work with, and you don't always keep in touch with them. But people don't, as like a radio mind, I can hear when Opie realizes that the bit needs to move on. And Anthony and Jim Norton have talked about how that would drive them nuts. And I can hear it in the moment afterwards, listening to a show from 12 years ago. But to me, as a radio mind, that's just Opie going, we need to move on. We can't be doing this bit forever. And it drove Anthony very nuts, but it also made them millions. And they haven't been on the radio since then. You know what I mean? So they definitely needed each other.
You're right.
That's a very complicated show.
It's you make a great point. And you know what? I agree. I think they were better together. And I also think that, there has to be a driver.
Yes.
And that's Opie, I think, what he was trying to do. He was just trying in his way to, keep it on track. And keep it focused and probably for, people who are non-radio people getting into it, especially probably, former, stand-up comedians who don't necessarily know the formatics and stuff that hosts have to deal with in radio. They're probably just aggravated, but that's all he was trying to do is do his job. And I would tell you this, I met Opie, in Dallas. And then after that, I got to actually hang out with him a couple of times. And dude, he was the nicest guy in the world. He was so cool to me at that time. This is no Yes, I was just a 23-year-old morning guy in Dallas, right? Market 5. And Opie came up to me. He's like, dude, Mike, you're just a kid. And he's like, congratulations. He's like, this is really unbelievable. And if you ever need anything, if you ever need any advice, call me. He had his Boston accent. If you ever need anything, you ever need any advice, call me. And I'll never forget that. And going back to the ego thing, I just, I've had situations over the years, true radio rivalries. And now I could tell you that looking back on those radio rivalries, how ridiculous it was. I mean, for example, and if you haven't heard about this, well, you're hearing it now. Years ago, I was the night guy at 106.1 Kiss FM in Dallas, Texas, the home of Kid Craddock in the morning. Remember I told you that I listened to Kid when I was a kid?
Yes, sir.
Right? And then I ended up being the night guy at the radio station he was on, and then I got to end up competing against Kid. But it's all leading to this. So I was the night guy at Kiss FM in Dallas. I had just left KJ 103 in Oklahoma City, and this will. Well, you want to hear the backstory, or
Please.
you want to hear the?
Tell me.
Okay.
I want to hear it, Fitz.
So I was doing nights at KJ 103 in Oklahoma City, and it was the #1 night show across the board. Okay. Some of the biggest nighttime numbers ever in KJ 103 history. And dude, I kid you not, I'm on the air one night and the hotline rings. And I'm like, KJ 103 hotline. And I hear, Fitz? I'm like, yes. And he goes, this is Todd Shannon from 106.1 Kiss FM in Dallas. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, what's up? He goes, listen. He goes, do me a favor. I want you to, tape tonight's show and just send me, tonight's show. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, you bet. So I taped that show. And when I got off the air, I went and grabbed a cup of coffee. And at 12:30 in the morning, I drove from Oklahoma City to Dallas, Texas. I pulled up to the Kiss FM studios on Douglas Avenue. I think I got there at about 4:15 in the morning. I slept till 8. At 8 a.m., I got up and I said to myself, well, certainly the program director of Kiss FM will be here by 9. So I went to Dunkin' Donuts. I got coffee. I got donuts. And I went and I sat by the door. About an hour later, I see this guy walking up that I only think is Todd Shannon from Kiss FM. And when he walks up, I go, excuse me. I go, are you Todd Shannon? He's like, yes. I said, how are you? My name's Fitz. Here's last night's show. I drove all night to personally hand deliver it to him. He said, Fitz, get up in my office. And I knew right then that I got the gig at 106.1 Kiss FM in Dallas, my dream station, the station I grew up listening to with Kid Craddock in the morning. And now I was the new night guy, which leads me to this, the ego part. So I'm at Kiss FM doing nights, and my friend Billy the Kid is doing nights at a station called Hot 100. Well, in Dallas, dude, there was a crazy night war going on. And, nighttime radio, that was it. There was no, there was no MySpace even then. There was zero social media. The social media was nighttime radio. And dude, I was very blessed. I got some, I had #1 ratings across the board. I was #1 in freaking Dallas, Texas. And it had been like one of the first times ever that a legendary urban station, K104, had been beat at night. And so I was excited. I mean, I was excited about it. And I definitely had some ego to me. So I would have my interns prank call and fill up Billy the Kid's phone lines all night long on Hot 100. And whenever my little interns, one of them's name was Niblet, I'd have Niblet just call all night long. And when Billy would pick up his phones or his phone screener, Niblet would say, FIT with a Z. Dude, this is all night long. So over time, it just drove Billy nuts. He was just trying to get a bit on the air. I was clogging his phone lines. And so one night, I go to a restaurant in Dallas, and a black SUV pulls up. Out jumps out Billy the Kid. On the other side of the black SUV is a guy named Chulo, Billy's co-host and phone screener. Dude, they literally were about to jump me. And I said, oh, by the way, there was a third guy in the car that I didn't know. I said, why don't y'all hang out a second? Let me go get my boy. I went inside and I grabbed my best friend from high school, Jason. I said, Jason, parking lot. So I go outside. I got my buddy. Billy's got his two friends with him. And Billy and I start going at it, throwing punches. It was like the scene from the movie Anchorman, when all of the anchors, square off in the parking lot. Next thing I know is Billy and I are just throwing, man. We're just throwing dukes. I see some blinking lights, and I see that a crowd had been formed outside. The police show up. There's a crowd of people outside. They're saying, oh, my God, Fitz from Kiss FM and Billy the Kid are fighting in the parking lot.
Oh, my God.
So now, to answer your question about egos and people getting along, dude, Billy the Kid and I look back on that night right now, and we laugh our butts off. And we still text. I'll he does mornings in Dallas right now, and I'll call him up and I'll text him during his show to this day. And so I just wish that people could, when they have those moments, like we did, just crazy. And at the end of the day, it's all because we're competitive. It's because we all want to win. For me, it was like, man, I got to feed my family, and I can't feed my family the way I want if I'm not number one. I've got to be number one no matter what. And I was always trained, and it was ingrained in me from the beginning, that if I want to make it, because we didn't have social media, if I want to make it, I have to be loud and make noise. No matter what, I have to create the most, out of this world promotions. I have to create the best benchmarks, the most creative features, the most unbelievable creative parody songs that reflect, the mood of the city. I've got to do it all. I've got to win. And so that's why I think so many of us, are so competitive like that. But then you realize, now I realize, man, I need everybody. We're all now, right? The ones that are still doing this, we're in it together.
I notice in radio that the people that are nice enough are the ones that have jobs for their whole life, essentially. You look at guys like you, BJ Shea, Rick Rumble, Steve Miggs. Everybody's getting a little bit older, and you guys have been doing it for a while, and you guys are killing it. And I'm thinking of other names too, and it's because you guys are nice and humble. And then you think about that mean shock jock era, and you think about and it's not even just shock jocks, but you think about the people that treated people really badly, and a lot of them are either doing shows that nobody listens to, or they're not in radio anymore. It seems that there was some point in the last 10 to 15 years that shit caught up to them.
Dude, I love that you said that. And another example of that, I think, and tell me if you agree, is, look at Howard Stern right now. Dude, he's the sweetest man in the world, right?
Yeah.
Now, maybe back in the day, Howard was a different Howard. Maybe he was like me. Again, it was ingrained in me. If I want to succeed, I must be loud and make noise. One of my first bits, when I was 19 years old, doing a morning show at KNIN in Wichita Falls, Texas. And I kid you not, and I can't believe I'm even bringing it up, but on April Fool's Day, we had a weatherman in Wichita Falls, Texas, who had been doing the weather on the local NBC affiliate, Channel 3, for over 30 years. His name was Skip McBride. And Skip McBride was a legend in Texoma. And dude, 19-year-old me doing a morning show, you know, I knew that I had to be loud and make noise. Well, what did I do on April Fool's Day? Dude, I said that Skip McBride, the local weatherman legend in Texoma, I said he passed away over the weekend.
Oh my God. Fitz.
Dude, within an hour, the NBC switchboards and their lobby was full of flowers. It completely shut down Channel 3 in Wichita Falls, Texas. It was so much bigger than, but dude, I was 19. I knew it would get reaction. And you know what? To this day, in Wichita Falls, Texas, they talk about Fitz of when he killed off Skip McBride, the weather guy.
There's something about being in radio when you're that young, because I began at 18. I think about some of the things I did, dude. Just not even just on the radio, but just like walking in St. Pete and getting recognized. It's almost not healthy when you're that young, because you're just dumb as fuck when you're like 21. And to have some fame, bro, that definitely gets to your head. It makes you realize why guys like Bieber went crazy. Like when you're getting recognized by people you don't know, it's weird.
1,000-watt flamethrower in North Texas. Sure, it was a small market, but dude, people heard me. I mean, think about 100,000 watts in 1998 and 99 in North Texas. It reached down to Dallas, and my signal reached up to Oklahoma City. So after, you know, I was that guy. I was loud. I made noise. My next gig, I don't know if you know this, I saw an ad for the John Jay Morning Show with 93Q Country. And I sent my stuff to John Jay and Rich, you know, and I sent my stuff to John Jay. And within 2 days, he goes, dude, when can you be in Houston? So I think it was because of, you know, I was willing. I took so many risks. I did some great, man, I was crazy on the air and creative and you know, really, really pushed it to that line. And I think that's what definitely got me noticed, you know, by the major markets. And after that, I went to Houston, you know, spent time with John Jay. And at that point, you know, I knew, you know, I'm like, I got to do my own show. And so I left 93Q Country, a major market, to go do a night show in Oklahoma City for $21,000 a year. I left mornings in Houston to go do nights in Oklahoma City, right, for $21,000. But I knew I had to do it to get my show and to do it my way. I knew I had to make that sacrifice. I didn't care if they were paying me, you know, when I was doing the morning show in Wichita Falls, Texas, dude, I was making $5.15 an hour. I kid you not.
Sounds like radio.
And, yeah, right. And so I was just willing, you know, to just do everything others didn't. And I was so glad starting out in a small market to learn the industry from the inside out, every part of it, from sales and promotions to programming to, you know, to mornings. I wanted to learn it all, you know, still to this day. You know, I've even told a couple of folks I want to, I want to program some things. I want to reach out and take advantage of as many possible platforms as I can, because radio right now, man, you could do it. You know, people talk about radio and what's the future of radio. We could do it all with radio right now.
I know. It's infuriating.
I mean, so many different avenues for people to hear our voice right now. I just want to say, radio's everywhere now. Radio is everywhere.
TikTok, podcasts, Twitter, X, all of it. Fitz, what do you think is the
endless?
what do you think is the future of radio? I think it's going to be that it's going to turn into like TikTok, Spotify, X. I think radio really needs to invest in my generation because it's like, I don't know. There's just this weird vibe where I feel like, I don't know if they're afraid to invest in it, but I feel like if they would have began sooner, radio wouldn't be where it's at right now. Radio did it to itself.
Yeah. You're saying as far as cultivating new talent.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, let me tell you. I mean, we do. There is no question. I think we need to do a better job at going out and finding folks like me and you, finding folks like, you know, the BJ Shays and the Berts and the Mojos and the Kevin Ralston. We need to find people, man, who just love it and have a passion for radio and have a passion for performing. And, you know, it's tough to do, right? With all the voice tracking and everything right now, the jobs and opportunities are limited. There has never been a better time to perform and find an audience. I do believe that the opportunities are endless. Now, are we going to have to maybe create these opportunities? Yeah, we might, but it's just a frontier of options for performers and storytellers, no matter what. I mean, it's just beginning when you think about it. You know, think about it. We only used to have, you know, if you back in the day, 10, 15 years ago, 5, 6 buttons, right, on the radio to choose from. Now, there are buttons and channels everywhere you look.
Yeah, it's funny. And I'm not saying this to talk shit, but I was like listening to Tampa radio today. And it's a large market, but it's not a major market. And there's really nothing on. Besides my old job, 102.5 The Bone, which is like guy talk radio, it's the same 40 songs. It's like going to a bar and playing that app, you know, where you can like play a song. You know what I'm talking about at the bars? That's what radio is right now. Like I was literally driving home today. And I turned off my phone and I said, because I just had a long day at my radio job and I needed to hear nothing. And I was getting too quiet in the car and I'm going across the bridge and it's sunny out. And I go, let me turn on the radio right now. So I went through every AM signal to see if there's any funky radio. Nothing. I go to FM radio. It's the same 20 songs. I'm like, and that's why radio's where it's at. Same shit.
You know what? I really hope that that we start taking risk again.
We need to.
I think it's going to be.
We need to.
Yeah, I think you know, and I hope that we start, you know, taking risk musically, with our personalities. You know, there's one of my old programmers named Dan Kiley, a guy who used to program Kiss FM Los Angeles.
Hell yeah.
And Dan Kiley always used to say to me, hey, high risk equal high rewards. And, you know, he was a guy who would take chances. He would take chances on artists and songs and singles and album cuts and promotions. And he took, I mean, dude, a risk, you know, on me. I was a 23-year-old morning guy in Dallas. And he always said, high risk equal high reward. So I really hope that we get, you know, that we get back to that again. And we got to start. Yeah.
No, go on. I was just going to bring up that we've been talking for 50 minutes.
Oh, dude, how awesome is that? How long is your how long? You say you want to cut me?
No, I was just.
You want to cut me off?
I don't want to cut you off at all. I was just bringing up. I couldn't believe it. I looked at my board and I went 50 minutes. This is like the boot camp,
your
bro.
longest podcast yet?
Close. My friends. It's really hard to say, but I noticed the people I know that I interview, you, Rick Rumble, BJ Shea, Steve Miggs. Those are the ones that go on for an hour because I know you guys. But when I interview other people that aren't as friendly at like 28 to 30 minutes, I'm like, oh man, this needs to end. I'm just being honest.
Dude, everybody in radio listens to the Hoppe Hour. You got to know this, dude.
Oh my God.
I
appreciate it.
You are the inside guru of our industry. You know what's happening. You know where it's happening. So, dude, everybody's listening to this. So I want to give a shout out to who do I want to give I want to give a shout out to Eric Rao at KRBE in Houston.
Yes, sir.
I love him.
He's awesome.
Eric. I want to give a shout out to who else do I want? Oh, I want to give a shout out to Fish.
Fish is awesome,
up,
bro.
Fish? I want to give Fish is awesome. God, there's just too many names to name right now. Ace and TJ. I want to give a shout out to Ace and TJ.
Dwyer and Michaels. They're legends.
Oh my God, Dwyer and Michaels
the
are
best.
The absolute greatest.
They're
Dude,
awesome, bro.
Hey, you know what's funny?
What?
Every radio guy says that. Every radio guy is like, "Oh my God, Dwyer and Michaels are the greatest."
They're awesome, bro. Those guys are legends. I interviewed Michaels in the beginning of this month, and I don't know him as well as I know other people, but I know him well enough to message him. And dude, Michaels is a legend, bro, man. He was so funny and nice, dude. Those guys, man, I respect that they were just like, we're going to be in the Quad Cities and we're going to be the biggest thing that ever happened to this town. Because some people get a big head. They could have gone to Chicago or something like that. But I just respect that they built their family there. They built their legacy and they're humble about it. When I was interviewing Michaels, he was so like, almost, I don't want to say passive, but he doesn't have an ego. He's not like, yeah, I'm the biggest thing to ever happen to radio in the Quad Cities. You would think he's one of the listeners. He was so humble.
Dude, let me tell you, and you're right. Those guys could have, and they still could. They could pick any market in the world, but it just goes to show that they had maybe some early wisdom that maybe a lot of us didn't. They knew what really matters is your personal happiness at the end of the day, right? And they were in a market, they're in a market where their audience loves them. They have market equity, you know what I mean? And their community now, after all these years, just relies on them. I mean, they are their community. So, I mean, you're right about those guys. I mean, just naturally, like, raw, funny. Like, even when I would just watch them, my God, doing Battle of the Bits at boot camp.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I just love to watch them perform. Yeah, what a great show! What a great show!
Are you going to the boot camp this year?
So, yeah. I mean, it's in San Diego, right?
I'm figuring out a way to go. I'm saving up vacation hours at my job so that I can go. I have to go. I must go. It's meant to be.
Well, you have to. I think maybe we establish it right here. Maybe you launch every year at boot camp from now on. We create the Hoppe Hour.
Oh, could you imagine?
We literally just congregate and we have beverages and we provide philosophy and share wisdom about the industry.
That's not bad. And I am friends with what's her name from Radio Fam. I'm saying that, but I can't remember the name. Maria. She's awesome. Don Anthony's awesome. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. We really do need everybody right now in this industry.
Yeah. I just want to see.
You know what's great is?
Yeah, go on.
So we've been talking for an hour and I don't even think you've asked me one question.
It was just natural. I don't like the ones when I'm like asking something. And I'm actually glad that we're doing it now than if I would have done it 7 years ago, because I would have had these things written down and been like, where'd you begin in radio? Who influenced you to go into radio? Now I'm much better at communicating without having to ask things. That's what I go for, is like, I used to not listen to what the person was saying. I was thinking about what am I going to say next. And about 5 years ago, I got out of that mindset.
Yeah, and that's really great. But also, though, and you know what? I really learned this particularly doing the countdown.
What?
Also, never be scared to ask those questions, because you're right. Like when I was doing morning radio, I would never start it with, all right, so tell me about you. Where did it all begin? But now with the countdown, and when I want to get like a particular audio nugget, right? And I want to, maybe get a factoid that somebody might not know. Now I go back to, asking the question that
sir.
I probably wouldn't have asked before.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I may have smoked some flower before this, and I'm just like taking in the moment. I'm like, man, this has been a fun interview.
Oh yeah, dude. Suck up the moment. You know what I am in Nashville. I am at the Omni, and I am overlooking downtown Nashville right now, and I'm looking at the Batman building and Lower Broadway.
Oh my God. It sounds amazing.
Oh, dude, check it out. I mean, Nashville has grown like you would not believe. If you haven't been, If you haven't been, you need to go with me.
I'm 100% down. Nashville with Fitz. That sounds amazing.
Dude, it's just some of the greatest food and the culture and the environment, and everybody is friendly, and the skyline has like tripled, it seems like, in 7 or 8 years.
You gotta come to Tampa. I'll go to Nashville and you gotta come to Tampa, bro. I'll show you around.
Dude, you want to hear a magical story that you're gonna love?
Why?
My wife, Bethany, the mouth from the South, was offered middays at 93.3 FLZ.
When?
And she turned them down to move to Seattle, Washington with me while I did a morning show.
That was a very good morning show.
And now 4 babies later. Isn't that something? But I mean, my wife is such an unbelievable jock and personality. I wish you could have heard her on the air. I mean, just unbelievable on the radio. And she was a huge character on my morning show too. I called her Bethany, the mouth from the South.
Fitz in the Morning is one of the greatest morning shows of all time. That team you had, man, that was a hell of a show.
Thank you, dude. And isn't it true? It's like, you really got to have that right team around you. In order to really have that successful show, you got to have that history. You got to have that chemistry. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
like, for example,
go on.
The guy I was doing my show with, my co-host, his name was Tony. And, I mean, dude, this is a guy that I started with at KNIN, my very first radio station in Wichita Falls, at 18 years old. And I we had instant chemistry from the beginning, and I never wanted to get rid of that. And so in order to, really have that successful show, you got to surround yourself with the right people, right? You got to surround yourself with a team of trust, and you got to surround yourself with people who can make you laugh, genuinely make you laugh,
I know.
That's what it takes.
Dude, I'm not going to say who, but there's shows I've worked on where I've been miserable. And when I left that job, my unhappiness went down a lot. It's crazy when you're doing what's supposed to be a fun job like radio, and then you're miserable. It makes no sense.
Dude, yes. And I would say if and whoever is listening, and if you're in a situation where you're just unhappy and you're a performer and your paycheck relies on it, then you've got to change addresses. You got to leave the situation. For your livelihood, you've got to leave a bad situation.
That's what I did. And people got mad about me leaving a job but it was me looking out for me. And if the situation's not right and there's no future there, why be there? No point.
Yeah, and I get it. Especially when money's involved and benefits are involved. It's definitely tough to walk away from a job. Yeah, I get that. But happiness is everything, man. You know what I mean? It's just not worth it to not be happy.
Fitz, every time I listen to your show, you make me nothing more than happy. How can people find your show?
Well, I want to say, Ryan, that when I listen to your show, you make me nothing more than happy. I'm happy every time.
I love that. That's amazing.
So where can people find me? Well, I would encourage you to go to ct40.com and click on where to listen. And you will find, 250 to 300 brands, the greatest brands.
Oh my goodness.
Of the greatest radio stations in North America and beyond.
Hell yeah, Fitz.
And Australia. Yes.
I'm so proud of you, man. You killed it up in Washington. You're a radio legend forever there. But look at you, man. You are syndicated on this planet.
You know what? I just feel so lucky. I mean, it's still, it still doesn't seem real, right? Being the host of the Country Top 40, but man, I'm just loving every minute of it. And also, as I look back on all these years, I mean, it's like, I just feel so lucky to have, look what we do for a living. I mean, I've never worked a day in my life. You know what I mean? I've never worked a day in my life. And I just feel so lucky to have, who I've met and just experience what I've got to experience and see what I've got to see. And, just think about, on the last day on earth, hopefully, many, 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 many years from now, and just, right, your feet are up on the bed and you're just, reviewing your life. I just, honestly, I just don't know what I've done to deserve all of it. I just feel so lucky. I would like to think that my mission on this planet, like, why God put me here, because no matter what, we all have missions. We all are here for a reason. I mean, that's what life is. We've all really hit the lottery by existing. And so I think my mission is like, maybe somebody just driving around on a country road, listening to the radio. I really believe that a single song played at the right time can change a life forever.
I had a listener
that's what I'm here for.
I had a listener come by my place about 6-7 months ago, and he interviewed me about my life. And he's like 23, and he's like, I grew up listening to you on the radio. And I was like, that's weird. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, dude, that's the weirdest feeling when, somebody says, yeah, I was in elementary school, well, you meet them and they're like 25 and they're like, yeah, I was in elementary school when I listened to you. And you're like, oh my God.
I know, it's awful. I'm 30 now, by the way, so I'm like mid-old.
Well, you're just a baby.
I know. I just wanted to have that reassurance from you.
But you want me to share something? I haven't shared this with hardly anyone.
Oh no, what's up?
Like hardly anyone, like maybe 3 people.
Tell me.
But it just goes to show how, well, when if somebody is going for a gig or being talked to, about a position, nobody is allowed to ask you how old you are. You know that, right? Nobody's ever. It's the law. You can't say how old are you.
Yeah,
they can't do that. So anyway, there was an opportunity I was having some conversations with. There was an opportunity it was a platform, and I was having some conversations with them. And it showed some interest, and so they decided to pass. And it was funny. They decided to pass. I was talking to my agent. I'm like, well, what, did they not see the treatment? Did they not see what we put together? This is really, dude, it was great stuff, right? And the response from the individual at the streaming platform said, well, he's not a spring chicken. Which basically they wanted a host between 20 and 25 years old. And so, even though I just turned in what I felt was just the most compelling, concept and idea, and it's like, it was the first time that somebody had ever told me, well, you don't really fit the age requirement of what we're looking for in the host of this particular show.
It's crazy.
And it was crazy, right? It was eye opening, but it's just reality.
Dumb. Yeah, but people listen to Howard Stern, and he was born in 1950. You know what I'm saying? That was dumb of them. Fitz is a legend. You would have been there. You are better off without them. I don't care what job it is. You're the man, Fitz.
They're dumb. They're dumb dumbs.
Yes, sir. How do you not hire Fitz?
They are big dumb dumbs.
Fitz. It's Fitz. It's Fitz. Yeah. Come on now.
Yeah. But with that, but you should know me. When I'm told something like that, man, it gives me the juice. You know what I mean? I really do sort of thrive on
haters.
I think probably thrive on being told no.
Me too.
And I think I thrive on competition.
Me too. I love it. I love when PDs say in their suits. They've never talked on the radio, but for some reason they run radio. I love being told things by them because it just motivates me. I think if I would have had all of the success in the world at 21, 22, I don't think I would have made it to 30. I think if I would have had everything given to me at such a young age, I think I would have died, dude. I think it was better off that I grinded through my 20s and I keep it on. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't think it's meant to be, because you look at famous people, the big names from the 90s that had it all in the 20s, a lot of them don't have jobs now. It's about the journey, not about getting it overnight.
Dude, and listen, it's all about the journey. And it's all about, I look at my life as, individual chapters. Let's review over the past chapter, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen in the next chapter. And life really is about chapters and God, just really having to have the ups and the downs in life. You know what I mean? That's part of the journey, right? My dad always says, life's a beep and then you die. And, but you know what? It's life, right? And we get to live it.
Nas said that too. That's one of my favorite songs. Life's a bitch. You know that song?
That's what my dad said his whole life. Yeah.
I didn't know your dad was a listener of Nas. I'm just kidding.
Dude, my dad, Green Beret Bob, actually wrote 2 of Nas's songs. By the way, it's shocking.
Really? Or are you joking with me?
I'm joking with you. My dad is 78 years old.
I wasn't sure if him. I don't know. It was possible that he's hanging out in Harlem with Nas 30 years ago.
Dude, and you know what? There's another one. Aren't you amazed? Like my dad, he's a talented, funny, naturally funny dude. He's a guy, I would just bring on the show and you talk with him 5 minutes and you're going to be cracking up. That is skill. That is talent. And that's what I'm amazed with, like, different platforms where, I love the fact that there really is so much talent out there, and how, everybody could showcase their stuff,
I know, it's fun. Like TikTok's weird. Like one of my videos will get 5,000 views, the next one will get 6. And I love that adrenaline rush. Now, would I want every video to have 1 million listened and views, Fitz? Sure. But it's kind of fun when you create content and then like the internet won't give you what you want and you go, listen, mother effer, I'm going to do it even better. I don't know if that makes sense.
Right. It's amazing. It's like, sometimes you could have what you feel is like the greatest interview moment or clip of your life. And you post that and you get like 200 views. And then you'll video a dog taking a poop in your front yard and it gets 25,000 views.
That is TikTok in a nutshell.
It's crazy.
It's so
absolutely
accurate.
Insane.
That's why when I make reels of my podcast, I try to not work too hard, because when I work really hard, it doesn't get any views. But when I just make it and I put it up there, there's something with the universe and like the magic of the internet. It's almost like it knows when you're trying too hard. It's very creepy.
It really is. And then I did something, simple. Like after Toby Keith passed away, I posted just a couple of pictures, right?
Yes.
With me and Toby and a little song behind it. And dude, this is no BS. Like in 2 days, 660,000 views or something like that. I'm not kidding, right? And then the next day I posted something else. It was like another Toby Keith interview snippet. 176 views.
I know, it's TikTok. It makes me so mad.
It is absolutely bizarre.
I think
It's really interesting.
What's up?
Here's what's interesting.
What is interesting?
It's like, what's going to be next? And there is always something
I think about
next.
that.
Like, what's going to be after TikTok?
I think about that.
Yeah.
It's weird to think about.
And by the way, the only permanent thing is change.
Oh, for sure.
So, it's coming.
Yeah. I mean, TikTok's been here for like 4 or 5 years, and it's beginning to get a little bit, it's not what it was like 3 years ago. It's just kind of the same thing. Everybody complaining about their lives. That's what my FYP is, my page. It's just all these millennials. And yeah, things are hard right now. But I download TikTok, I post my videos, and then I get rid of it for the day. Because I just find myself going down a negative rabbit hole if I look at people's TikToks. A lot of people are negative, bro.
So here's what I do.
What do you do?
This is different. I reserve my TikTok time for about 11:30 p.m. at night before I go to bed. And dude, my wife and I will go through all of the TikTok lives. And dude, I am shocked at the things I see on live at night on TikTok. I mean, you see it all.
I
right?
can imagine.
Do you not ever scroll through the lives?
I'm usually sleeping on. I don't like the lives. I need to find the right lives.
Oh, dude, just keep scrolling at night, and you will hear some of the most bizarre conversations. You will see the craziest things. I mean, you've got to check it out at night.
I might do that right after the show. I might just go through TikTok, but then I'm not gonna sleep as well. It's having ADHD is the worst, bro. It's a blessing and a curse.
So, what time do you you seem like you're an early bird. What time do you go to bed?
11. I have to be up at 8, which isn't too bad. But man, there's sometimes like this morning, bro. Oh, I could have just done another hour of sleep. I wouldn't have minded 1 more hour. You know that feeling?
Yeah, I did morning radio for so many years, waking up at 3:23 a.m. And that was always my time, 3:23 a.m.
Ugh.
And And now, with CT40 and I get to sleep late, dude, I love sleep. And now I feel with technology, it's like, I've chatted and still continue to have conversations if the opportunity is right for, another morning show or, 5 days a week, right? CT40 is on the weekend. But with the technology now, I don't know why I would ever have to wake up early ever again.
It's not healthy, and it's such a hard job because you're talking to people that need to be entertained, and they don't care if you're tired because everyone's tired. I hated hearing morning radio people talk about how tired I am. It goes, everyone's tired. It's 6 a.m.
Right. So isn't the trick, how about you have your morning show come in at 11 a.m., knock out about, 25 killer breaks where they're awake, where they're energetic, right? Where they're in such a good mood. They've had their coffee, they've had their breakfast, they're rested. And what you do is just provide a good show. I mean, does it really matter anymore if you are a day early, a day? Look, Rogan posts a podcast and people listen to it sometimes 3 weeks later.
Oh yeah, for
does
sure.
it really matter? Does it really matter, particularly a morning show now? I wonder, do you really have to, be there at 4 a.m. anymore and do your first break at 5:05 a.m.? You know what I mean?
Oh, it's the worst.
Is it, if you know the feel of the city, like, doing mornings in Seattle. Even right now I'm back home in Texas, but I still, man, know exactly the feel, doing mornings there for so long, the feel of that city. It's going to be cloudy, cloudy and 48. It's going to be a little chill in the air. The smells, and I could still do a morning show right now for Seattle and not have to be there at all. You know what I mean?
It is weird, like with the show Kevin and Bean. Bean was up in Washington and Kevin was in Los Angeles, and you couldn't tell. Same with Lex and Terry. Terry's up in Washington and Lex is in Dallas. It's weird when you hear a really good show and you don't know they're in the same room, or they're not in the same room, rather.
And you just mentioned two great shows. You're right. And how cool that they had the technology back then, to even be able to make it sound like that. I think then they were using what they called the old T1 line.
Yeah.
Where there was a little delay, believe it or not.
You couldn't tell on the radio. That's what made them good, for sure.
Plus, they were probably better, being in a different room, right? Maybe they got along better that way. And it's like, do whatever it takes, right? Like if you have a successful show, do whatever it takes to make it continue to be, right? You just got to let creative people sort of have their creative space and do their thing.
Yeah, there's this weird thing where radio's cool, but if you don't like who you're working with and you're hanging out with them more than, like, let's say your family, it gets toxic. If you're hanging out with somebody you don't like more than, like, let's say your wife and kids. Now, I'm single, so I don't have that, but I'm just saying that as an example. I can imagine as like a family man, if you're spending more time with a person you don't like that a program director set you up with rather than your wife and kids, that's not going to lead to success.
And you gotta leave. You got to let everything on the show, in my opinion, sort of stay on the stage. Like, I feel a lot of successful shows probably don't spend a whole lot of crazy amount of time together. You know what I mean? Because the greatest show prep is living life. And I think everybody needs to go out and live their own lives, right?
For
so
sure.
They're able to talk about their own unique experiences and adventures, and then apply those stories, right, to your audience, right? And I've been in situations where I have, completely hung out with, way too much with my show. And yeah, I think you should just leave everything right on the stage until you come back and it's time to for showtime the next day.
You know what I do? I record at my friend's setup. He's an EDM DJ and a nightclub DJ in Tampa, so he's got a very nice setup. And when I go to his place, I talk to him for 5 minutes, and then I go in there and I wait for our third co-host to come by. And the third co-host we just added like 2 months ago, and he'll want to talk. And I go, save it for the air. Because I notice if you talk too much beforehand, you have nothing to talk about. Save it for the air.
Dude, I would always, that's hilarious. I would always say when somebody start, just throwing out some gold off the air, I'd be like, save it. And I would always ask the crew, before we came in, I'd say, listen, make sure that if you can, send me your one sheet. And I call it the one sheet. And the one sheet is, I would ask them, tell me the 3 biggest things happening in your life right now. And I'd ask them to write down those 3 things for me. The 3 biggest things happening in your life. And they would send me those 3 things every night, I just, by 9 p.m. And with those things that they would give me about their life, I would create segments or features or promotions or, from things happening in their lives. Yeah.
Damn.
So it's kind of cool like that.
That's a good idea. I think I might take that.
Tell me the 3 biggest things happening in your life right now. And that's every day, because shit changes every day. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
Tell me the 3 biggest things happening in your life, and it could be, I went to my daughter's recital, or, oh yeah, my son was at a football game and, got in a fight, or, I was watching something on the debate the other night and I heard, or whatever, whenever Jay-Z went on the stage and said that Beyonce should have won over Taylor Swift, it could anything, but it's 3 things from your life with your perspective, from your perspective.
Damn, that's good, Fitz. That's why you've been in radio for so long. Look at you.
Look at you. But listen, my young Jedi.
Yes, sir. What's
we are
up?
passing down the wisdom. We are passing it down. And you really get to learn these tricks, over the years, right? It just sticks with you. You know what I mean? It just sticks with you.
I will remember this interview for the rest of my life.
I hope that you tag every single show that we mentioned.
Yeah.
And I hope that you let them all know that nothing can beat this edition of Hoppe Hour. Ever.
Can you do me a quick favor?
Absolutely not.
On social media, can you just share it? Nothing makes me more mad than when I interview somebody and they don't share it. It's that's all I ask. Just say, hey, I was on this show, retweet it, whatever. That's all I ask.
But what if my mom hears some of the F-bombs that you said? You said some naughty words.
I cleaned it up at the end when I said mother effer. I don't know if you noticed that, because I kind of caught you said I picked up that you are clean because you said life's a bee and then you die. And I was like, oh, I forgot. Fitz is a little clean.
What?
You're a dirty dog, though. Fitz on the air and Fitz at the boot camp when there's 9 beers. You're not that raunchy, but you're a funny dude when you're drunk, bro. You are funny.
You're lying. You're lying, and I've never been drunk in my life.
No,
and
Mama Fitz,
lie.
he has never been drunk in Chicago in 2014.
You know what's funny? I was just chatting about this earlier. We were talking about Bob Saget, And, when Bob Saget was, right, Danny Tanner on Full House, so many people didn't know, that Bob Saget, he was a dirty comedian, right? He was,
Oh,
he
yeah,
was
for
such
sure.
a great and brilliant comedian. But yeah, Country Top 40, and what I always do with it, first and foremost, to carry on the tradition, it's the show is, it's family, right? It is country music. It is just, songs about the homeland. You know what I mean? And so what I really tried to do, as opposed to, on my morning radio show where I'm able to, I can get, a lot more risque and stuff like that on my morning show. But with CT40, when I was named host, 1 month later, the pandemic started and the world shut down. So it was so important to me to maintain the positivity. I even kept some of the original Country Top 40 jingles simply because of the nostalgia that it brought. And when the world was, the great Jer from Jeff and Jer said years ago, when things are bad, right, be good, right? So I was thinking, man, the world is in chaos. The pandemic has just started. The global economy is collapsing. And so I need to be, I got to be that light on the radio. You know what I mean? So I created segments, the good stuff. I created a segment called Music with Memories, where I have listeners, tell me about the special songs in their heart with a personal memory attached to it. And it's been a game changer, because you can tell the people are craving, man, just a little hope, a little positivity, a little light. And sometimes, remember I told you, I think that a single song played at the right time can change a life forever. It's like, that's kind of what I think I'm supposed to do with this show, is just keep a little light out there and go on a journey toward the #1 song in country music.
Man, you are good, Fitz. Man, you are good.
Dude, I wish you were here in Nashville chilling with me.
I will see you at the boot camp. I'm going to figure out a way to get there.
Well, if there's an issue, we'll get you there. Let me know, let us know if there's an issue. You're going to boot camp. Just count on it. Either way, we'll get you there.
All right. Sounds like a plan. I love that.
Yeah. I love this. Is great because this was my goal. My goal was to get you so exhausted and drained that you would be the one to say, crap, Fitz, I got to go, dude. I mean, what's your problem? But no, tell me more. Because, dude, I'm gonna break the record. Give me a question.
This might have been the record.
Dude, I want the record.
No, I think this was the record. It's just funny. My Mountain Dew at 7 p.m. was really hitting me hard, and I was singing your name, going Fitz, 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 and now I'm all drowsy, like Fitz, Fitz, Fitz.
Well, all right. Ask me a couple more questions.
Boxers or briefs?
All right. So, I love that you asked that because, well, you know what? I'm going to tell you two things. And by the way, which goes back to a conversation you and I were having before. Remember you said, the old me didn't want to ask those questions.
Yeah.
Right? But sometimes don't you agree that those questions are still fascinating?
Oh, for sure.
Because they're fascinating questions, like boxers or briefs. It's a classic question because it's a classic question. So why not ask it? I
never thought about it that way.
Right? So anyway, to answer your question about, I wear boxer briefs, and let me tell you, I have the most comfortable underwear that you will ever experience in your life. And when we get done with this, I want you to Google Mack Weldon.
Mack Weldon.
Weldon.
I'm gonna look it up.
Which also happened to be the name of my junior high band.
Oh my God. Synchronicity right there.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding about that. But the name of the underwear.
You're being serious.
The name of the underwear is Mack Weldon. And dude, I'm not kidding you. You will never go back to another pair of underwear in your life. Secondly, you're a tall guy like me. You have got to get, it's called the perfect jean. Have you heard about these on Instagram?
No, what is it?
Okay, dude. It is the only pair of jeans that have ever fit me. And if I wanted to stretch, do squats, do leaps, and bound across the parking lot, dude, Google Mack Weldon for your underwear, and then Google the perfect jean for your jeans. And that is where you as a tall guy need to get your pants from now on. The perfect jean, and then Mack Weldon.
I'm going to have to check that out. That's what makes us so close, is that we both know what it's like to be so tall.
We know the struggle, you know?
And
we know the struggle.
We know what it's like when people go, "How tall are you? How tall are you?"
I know it. You know what though? I always, you got to embrace it.
I'm working on that.
I used to back in the day, like with an artist or whatever. I'd always say, "Hey, for a picture," I'd say, "Hey, you want me to squat? You want me to squat?" Or I'd squat. Now I refuse to squat. I've had a couple of, big country artists. They, "Hey, man, would you squat?" No, I refuse to squat.
I love that. You gotta command the room, Fitz.
You got to command the room. And that's what I love about Taylor Swift too. She's so tall, and she walks with such beautiful confidence, and she owns it, and she owns her height.
How tall is she?
Person. Dude, she has got to be. Now, last time I saw her, I know she had heels on and everything, but she was definitely over 6 foot with her heels on.
No way.
So I'd say she's definitely 5'9", 5'10".
That's pretty tall for a girl.
Pretty tall. Pretty tall. Way to go, Travis.
Yeah, I think they're going to break up soon. I'm not trying to be a negative Nancy, especially to you speaking to that audience.
How dare you put that on them? How dare you curse them like that? How dare you?
I have opinions about that, but I know who I'm talking to, and I know the audience of who I'm talking to, and I'm just going to say it like this. They're totally going to live forever and ever.
There is an audience that you don't want to mess with, and that is
Swifties.
The Swifties.
It used to be the beehive of Beyonce. No more. Beyonce's beehive is quiet. They're nothing compared to those Swifties.
Well, not after Beyonce's new song. Have you heard Texas Hold'em?
I've been meaning to listen to it. There's just so much to listen to, but I am going to listen to that because I need to listen to it because I love Beyonce.
It's so good.
I'm going to check it out.
I mean, you know what? She's from Houston.
Hell yeah.
She's a Texan. She could, I just think talent is talent. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, she's great. She was in a girl band 25 years ago. They were great. Destiny's Child. I just lost my breath.
Wait.
I just lost my breath.
I love that you call Destiny's Child a girl band.
What am I going to say? A boy band? It's like when they say,
right.
When they say like firewoman and that, because you're not supposed to call a fireman that's like a girl. It's all so confusing. It's all confusing.
Although when it comes to male and female actors, it's no longer actors and actresses. It's just, I'm an actor.
That's fine. I say it, in this life, if you need to identify as whatever you need to identify as, do it. I'm a heterosexual man that loves women. Oh, do I love women? And that's why I identify as. I'm not a cis man or whatever the new word is. I am heterosexual and I love women.
Can I quote you on that?
Yes, I am a heterosexual man and I love women. That should be a t-shirt.
It's a t-shirt. Can I make that t-shirt for you for boot camp?
Please, I would be honored to wear that. Would be honored. I will wear that in front of everybody. I will go to the fanciest place with everybody from the boot camp and they're all dressed up and I will just wear that shirt and jeans.
So what happened to you and your girlfriend?
Fitz, you ever date a listener?
So let's go ahead and change subjects.
By me saying she's a listener describes it all. I wish her nothing but the best in life, but let me tell you, Justin Schlegel, who does the morning show on Baltimore's 98 Rock, I interviewed him like 2 weeks ago, and he said dating a listener is literally like going out with a coworker. And I kind of learned that when you leave the popular radio show to go do your own thing, you really see the true colors of people, Fitz. When you no longer have the concert tickets and you're doing sports radio at the time, you really see who's your ride or die.
You know, there's a great country song by Tracy Lawrence.
Yes.
And it's called Find Out Who Your Friends Are. And
yeah.
And you know, it's during those times, you're right, that you really do find out you know, that people do show their true colors.
And I'm not even mad about it because I'd rather have this current situation of living in a nice apartment where I swipe right on Bumble and Tinder. Dude, you would have crushed it on Bumble and Tinder. You would have been the GOAT of Bumble and Tinder. How does it feel that you missed out? You missed out on Bumble and Tinder.
You know what's crazy is my wife and I talk about this like all the time. And I'm like, Bethany, I'm like, can you imagine like if Tinder if Tinder and Bumble was around like when I was on the radio, you know, back when I was, you know, doing a night show.
Oh my God.
You know, when I was single. I cannot, and I'm always fascinated when I hear stories from people and they tell me their Tinder or their Bumble experiences. And dude, it is like, it's not only shocking, but it is a world that I have no concept.
You're
like,
lucky.
what is it like? Do you literally just get to, do you take your pick? Do you scroll through?
You know what I do?
Whenever
I swipe right on everybody. People go, that's weird. And girls find that offensive, but it's a circus. You never know who you're going to match with. If you only match on what you're into and you don't get any matches, then your ego is hurt. But if you swipe on everybody, then it's like, oh, you got a new match. It's fascinating. It's fascinating, Fitz.
So what happens after you swipe? Do they text you?
So
do they message you their cell phone? What happens
on Tinder? You can swipe and message the girl first, but Bumble's better because the girl has to message you first, and I like that.
Oh, okay. So you like the queen bee running the hive.
It makes it interesting because then it's like they're showing initiative and then you kind of get what they're like by their first message. Like if they're like, hey, what's up? Then they're just some basic girl. But if they have something unique, then it's like, oh, there's a conversation there.
Bizarre. Wow. And what has been the most unique dating experience you've had?
I would say post breakup, I would say, because I do really well with older women, MILFs love me. And older women are the audience of the old radio show I worked on. And they'll be like, it's not often, but I've had
Wait a second.
Yeah.
Wait.
What?
My mom just texted me. And said that you sent her a friend request. Is that true?
Dude. Nothing like when they go, "Are you Hoppe from the radio?" And the old me 7 years ago went, "Oh, that's awesome." The new me goes, run from that. That's fun to have fun with, but a listener, I totally get why rappers don't want to marry their fans. Growing up, I was like, oh yeah, it'd be awesome to have fans. And then when you get fans, it's a weird concept, my friend.
You know what's really... have you ever tried like dating someone in our industry in radio? Like, you know,
My wife
was the my wife was the midday girl, and so she always understood. Like when I had to go do an event, or listeners would come up and want to get a photo, or put the arm around me. She always understands. She gets it. You know what I mean? Because she did it. She knows what the gig is about, and maybe you should try that. Like when you go to boot camp, it could be the opportunity for you to find the love of your life, who is in the industry. This coming boot camp in San Diego, dude, I believe will be the time you find your wife. Are you hearing me right now? We're gonna have that shirt. We're gonna have the T-shirt that we talked about with the quote on it. And
I
really
the quote
believe
again?
that.
I forgot.
Oh, you said you were heterosexual and you love women.
That's what I said. I forgot about that.
Yeah, and so I think this is what we should focus on for this boot camp. We will have the Hoppe Hour get together. It'll be a little mixer, and it's on.
It's on like Donkey Kong or whatever that saying is.
No, the new one is, according to my my little daughter Drew, who is 11.
What'd she
says,
say?
The new word is she uses two of them. Cringe. She's like, ugh, that's so cringe, Dad. Cringe. And the other one is like, if somebody's being shady or something like that, she's like, ugh, they are so sus.
Oh,
being
yeah.
So sus, like suspect. Yeah. So cringe and sus.
Mid.
Like, oh, man.
Mid's another one. Oh, it's so mid.
Well, that's so mid?
Yeah, like if you're talking about like food being average, or maybe somebody's like appearance, it's so mid. They're so mid. Oh, it's so mid.
Like average. Okay. All right. Gotcha.
It's so mid.
Well, you know what's not mid?
What?
Let me tell you what's not mid, but it's sky high and elevated. It is the Country Top 40 Countdown, where Fitz plays the hits every single weekend. It's the most impactful countdown in country music, and country music's longest running countdown show. All right, and we go on a journey to number one every single weekend. All right, and hey, let me tell you one. I'll tell you one more thing.
What?
We won't stop.
Yeah.
We won't stop till we get to the top.
Hell yeah. You're a legend, Fitz.
I'll tell you one more thing. Hey,
what?
One more thing about the countdown. One more thing.
What?
We go on a run. We go on a run to number one.
Dude.
Give me the air horn.
Oh, that was fun.
Find me on social media, 2 words, follow Fitz. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, Threads. Follow Fitz, 2 words, follow Fitz.
Follow Fitz. Everybody does, because you're a legend, Fitz. You're the man.
Oh, you're very back at you. So you're in Tampa right now?
Yes, sir. I'm in St. Pete. Tampa's a different thing. But yeah, Tampa Bay area.
All right. 93.3 FLZ.
Yes, sir. That's the one. I am out of breath. I have never been so like talked out, dude. Tonight when I sleep, it's going to be amazing. What I love about sleep, because I just hear talking all day at my job. Talk, which is fine. And then I go and I hang out with my friends. Talk. And then I listen to podcasts. And then I do my own podcast. Talk. And when I'm sleeping, that's like the only time and then the worst part is if I have a dream about radio or my job, I go, I'm going to meditate before bed tonight because I refuse to have a dream about radio tonight. That's the worst, is when you dream about the job and then you got to go to the job. No matter how much you love the job, if you're dreaming about it when you're supposed to be relaxing while sleeping, that's the worst feeling, Fitz.
It is. You know what I'm cursed with? It's not a curse. It's really a blessing. But everywhere I go, every second, I'm always thinking, I'm still in, morning radio / bit mode. I'm always thinking, can I create a bit out of this?
Yeah.
What can I create out of this? What feature, what promotion can I create out of it? Even right now, like if, in Dallas, if something happens in Dallas, to myself, I'm thinking to myself, okay, if I'm on the air today, this happens right now. Boom, this is what I'm doing, right? Literally, I execute like a morning show in my head every single day.
Me too.
So I'm literally, I'm constantly just, creating features and segments and, ideas for streaming platforms and, you name it.
I do think radio needs to invest in talent because look, they took their chance on a 19-year-old Fitz who blew up radio in Texas, and look where you are now. Look at you, Fitz.
Thank you for that.
I
agree with you.
You're a legend. I am so talked out, though.
All right, and can I end with a special song?
Yeah, what's the song?
Can I sing a song for you?
Please sing it.
All right. And I will close with this. Hey, where do we go? Days when the race came. Out in the hollow. Playing a new game. Laughing and a running. Hey. Skipping and a jumping. In the misty morning fog with it. Our hearts are thumping you. My brown-eyed girl. You, my brown-eyed girl. Thank you.
That was beautiful, Fitz.
Hoppe Hour. Hoppe Hour.
And like that, he's gone.
Hoppe Hour is now over.